Welcome to Getting Creative, a spotlight on the people who are taking full advantage of the artistic, employment, and recreational opportunities that make Iowa's Creative Corridor one of the best places in the country to live. I'm Dennis Green. We're here today on stage at CSPS Hall in Cedar Rapids, the performance home of SPT Theater's Tales from the Writers' Room. My guest spent several years in the Writers' Room before leaving to found The Hook, an organization which exists to help writers transform their stories and bring them to the stage. She's a writer, an actress, a teacher, and an NEA Arts Fellow. Say hi to Akwi, NG. Akwi, welcome to Getting Creative.
Thank you so much for having me, Dennis.
You were born in Iowa City, then moved to Cameroon when you were really young, and moved back at about what age?
About 7 years old.
So you remember your life in Cameroon, and that must have been quite the transition moving from Central Africa to Springville, Iowa.
Right. We didn't find snakes in the bathrooms of the school in Springville, Iowa, like we did in Africa. Poisonous ones at that. No, it was a very interesting experience transitioning to Springville. And being able to take some of the things that I learned in terms of interacting with people from all over the country in Africa. The culture in Cameroon was so different in a lot of different ways than it is here. And through the years as I've aged, I have a deeper understanding of those cultural differences. Looking at all of these experiences now as an adult, thinking back to my childhood, constantly plays a part in how I think of my responsibility in terms of interacting with people.
So you taught high school for several years, then left that.
Yes.
But in your work in The Hook and the other things that you're doing, you're still teaching.
Yes.
It is hard to get that out of your blood, apparently.
Oh, no, it's not going anywhere. And in fact, when I left WASH, I told myself, you're leaving the classroom, you're not leaving teaching. No, it's still very much a part of what I want to do with my life, and it's just not going to be in a traditional classroom.
You attended University of Northern Iowa and then Iowa, and you were always focused, your degrees in English, so you're always focused on writing, but I've heard you say that the kind of writing that you do is not the kind that there was really a niche for in college writing.
Right, yes. And being able to find eventually a place where I felt comfortable doing the kind of writing that actually speaks to me was important. And I didn't have that for most of my young adult life.
You found a great home with SPT and the Writers' Room because you are able to combine writing and performance.
They did for me what a lot of people before them had not done, which was just given me an opportunity to grow, to learn, to try something, to not expect perfection right away. And that changed my life. Having the opportunity to play with my writing style and to play with how it's performed on the stage absolutely changed my life. And that freedom was important. So 7 years of that, and being able to find, I guess, literally, even though it's used so often, but being able to find my voice that is very authentic to me is important.
As a part of your work with SPT, you started to branch out and started the poetry jams, which is kind of a first for this area. And then that grew to the point where it's, The Hook became its own thing. How did you know along that continuum where all of a sudden you realized, oh my gosh, this is not just a little thing I'm doing associated with my other work. This is my life. This is my life's work.
Yeah. So, having worked with SPT, comedic sketches are not truly my thing. I can write them, but I struggle, and I crank out a couple per show, and then I do monologues and poetry, and that just feels more natural. And so with SPT being able to produce the jams through that, the poetry jams, was really interesting because we had enough audience members who expressed a real desire to want more of that kind of performance that we thought, okay, let's try it, And without much marketing, we sold out each time. So that was really fascinating because, like you say, Cedar Rapids hasn't had that kind of opportunity for performance poetry and spoken word for most of the years that I've been here. There was nothing like that when I was in school here, and if there had been, I would have seen this city in a very different light than I did when I was at that age. And so seeing the community wrap its arms around this weird thing called performance poetry and spoken word, which when I say those phrases, people's eyes glaze over. You know, they're like, what? Spoken word? I don't even know what to make of that. So seeing the community really engaged in that kind of performance and that kind of writing was exciting. And then seeing how empowering the opportunity was for some of the artists who I had join me at the PoJam was really important. And then that transitioned into the hook. Seeing that it's not just about young people, it's not just about adults, it's about anybody in this community who wants to feel a stronger sense of community and who wants to be able to tell their very authentic and true stories in an artistic way needs an outlet to do that. I knew that the hook was going to be the next thing. I knew that the hook was going to be my opportunity to teach. And so sort of looked at that vision and thought, okay, as I extend myself outside of the classroom, I'm going to extend myself into the community, and the community then becomes my classroom, you know.
With Pin and Drink,
Yeah.
you're also providing a accepting environment for people just to
Yes.
come and do their own writing. How did that come about?
When I was coming up with a roadmap for what the different programming for the hook would look like, I was focused on the artistry in creating and performance. And I was trying to connect with writers in the community and said, you know, here's this idea for the hook. Do you want to be a part of it?
So we've mentioned 2, I think, of the 5 strands of the hook. So what are the other ones?
There's Pen and Drink, and then Drop the Mic is monthly. And with that, we have 2 featured writers and 1 featured musician. And then we have 6 open mic slots. And then Art Loud, we're launching this fall. Most ambitious strand of programming is going to incorporate music, dance, literature, and visual art. So all of these artists are working and collaborating together around a theme, and then we'll produce 4 to 6 shows this year based on different themes. Stories of loss and found, stories of tug and war are examples of some of the themes that we have going on. And then the Right to Art takes 3 writers and 3 visual artists, and they create work towards a theme over the course of about 3 months. And then at the 3-month mark, they swap their material, so the visual artist shares his or her work with the writer does the same with the writing, and then they create another set of material that's specifically inspired or directly inspired by each other's work. And then we set that up in a gallery format. So.
If you were talking to somebody who lived in a big city
Yeah.
or another city and were looking to relocate, and this was on their list of possibilities, what would you tell them? Why come here?
Yeah. I love that we are just small enough that there's still room for growth. There's still room for everybody. If you've got a brilliant idea for a business, there's so many resources here and so many people who are willing to just be helpful for the sake of being helpful that you can be successful here in a way that would be very, very difficult in a larger city, you know, where the market might be saturated with whatever particular idea that you've got, or, you know, folks are so focused on their own success and their own situations that they don't feel the way I think a lot of Cedar Rapidians feel, which is, I just want to help people. You've got a brilliant idea? Let me help you figure that out, you know? So the resources are here, the room for growth is here, and people just wanting to help each other is incredibly exciting.
Thanks very much for telling us your creative story, Akwi, and I am looking forward to many years of great stories to come.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm looking forward to creating more stories.
You can keep up with Akwi and the Hook at akwirights.com, where there's also a calendar of upcoming events. Here in Iowa's Creative Corridor, we strive to live more than the average life. Visit creativecorridor.co to meet more fascinating people like Akwi and share your own stories about getting creative.